Poverty would probably be the last word that would come to mind when we think about South Korea. But well hidden behind Korea's economical miracle story, behind the flashiness of its buildings and boast-worthy industrial development, lies a different reality. South Korea has managed to overcome the poverty that came as a result of the devastating war in the 50s. Its GDP grew from 2.63 billion to 1.84 trillion in only 50 years. It stands as the 11th wealthiest nation on earth and the 7th biggest exporting country. But Korea has turned its back on the people responsible for such success, those who brought the country back to its feet, the elderly generation. Although they worked their entire lives to rebuild the country's economy, they have now been forsaken by the state. It is estimated that about one half of the elderly population lives under poverty. So in the course of the next few days, I will be digging into how the poor and the elders live in this socially Darwinistic jungle of South Korea. Poverty in general doesn't seem to be the problem here. The problem is who the target of poverty is. And unfortunately, in this case, it's the elders. But why? Why is this trend so prominent in this country? Well, first of all, the government doesn't do too much about it. It provides an approximate of $200, which is only a quarter of the minimum necessary to sustain a single household. But what's even worse is that about only 35% of the total retirees are actually having access to these subsidies. But after all, South Korea is one of the most capitalistic countries in the world, so don't expect too much social welfare from the government. Only the fittest are allowed to survive. Okay, but even if the government didn't do anything about it, where's the families of these people? Where are their loved ones to take care of them? Simple. Collapse of traditional family values. Yes, Korea is moving on and leaving behind its Confucianist ideological roots. And that is clearly seen on recent surveys conducted by the government itself, which shows that only in 15 years, the percentage of children who think they should look after their parents shrunk from 90 to 37%. So yes, Koreans nowadays think it more worthy of their time and money to invest it in their own children and giving them a bright future rather than taking care of their aging parents. And so the culture of respect towards the elders is rapidly coming to an end. Filial piety? Progress. So now that we know the poor welfare system that Korea has, it makes much more sense why it also has the highest rate of elderly suicide among OECD countries. Translated into numbers, 50.3 elders out of every 100,000 are taking their lives away. In addition to this, and what will very likely aggravate the problem, Korea has the fastest aging population and one of the lowest fertility rates in the world. So, unless drastic measures are taken, big challenges lie ahead. But I had to check it out for myself. Welcome to Kuryong Maul. The residents of this forsaken land have been pushed away from society, rejected, and confined to live side by side with the garbage. Their humble tin roofs overlook Seoul's skyscrapers. Definitely an ironical scenario. A resident of the area, whose face will be withheld for privacy reasons, told me almost the entirety of the inhabitants were elders over 60, who for lack of working opportunities and family support, created this slum. But at least they were lucky enough to have a roof over their heads. I now head to Seoul Station, notorious for witnessing and sheltering the less fortunate ones, whose only home are the cold streets of the city. Many living here and in nearby subway stations of central Seoul suffer from government untreated mental illnesses, only to be worsened by alcoholism. A careless government, and a cold look from passerbys. They say the fastest way to a woman is through their ears, but as to men, through their stomachs. Meet Tohyun, who agreed to an interview over a warm plate of haejanguk. Although the conversation was not all that insightful, he did give me some clues as to why homelessness in South Korea was on the rise. But most of all, gave me hope to know this country, as always, will get back at its feet.